Hello and welcome to the Steam Power podcast and our first video podcast. And we're not going to do a lot tonight, but I want to kind of throw out an idea of what I want this podcast to become. So, my opinion that we are in an era of change in terms of education, is specifically technical education, science, technology, engineering, math, and I think in some ways we are doing it right, and I think in some other ways we've kind of forgotten some things that we've learned. And what I mean by that is um, college education is kind of the gateway for science and technology if that is a career you want to pursue. Um, However, I think that um, so much of that has become so abstract and in theory, and I'll take my specific profession as an example. Um, as an electronics kind of weenie kind of guy, um, you know, the electrical engineering textbooks, um, in my opinion, don't prepare you for what the real world is and how real world electronics design occurs. Um, I specifically, and I'll use this as an example, um, in all my electrical engineering and my computer engineering courses, um, a professor never once stated that, as we were doing all the calculations and we were, calculating resistor values, that you would calculate these um, absolutely weird um, results. So, for instance, you would say, okay, for this circuit, I need a current limiting resistor of 563 ohms. Well, in the real world, they don't make a resistor that's 563 ohms. Um, on the real practical engineering side, they only manufacture resistors in certain values. So there's kind of, in a nutshell, what I think the disconnect between the academic education of, specifically here in the United States, our college education, and what the reality is once you go out there and you start doing practical engineering. So, what I want Steam Power to be about is bridging that gap and starting it younger, much earlier than college, uh, high school if not middle school, even younger with in elementary school. Obviously, it's not very technical, but start revitalizing we've already seen it with the maker movement, the DIY movement of um, getting back to practical, hands-on um, skills, and then coupling that eventually with the academic, the theoretical, but realizing that no one's going to pay you to solve, theories about problems, unless you're going to be a professor or a researcher. But, majority of us are not going to work in that world. The majority of us are going to get hired by corporations, by government, by small business, by nonprofits to solve real world practical problems. And I think we've done a disservice to students. Myself, as an example, I've learned more after college by on the job, learning from technicians, learning from electricians, um, through self study, through tinkering, through joining maker spaces and working on practical projects. I feel I'm a better engineer because of those experiences than anything I learned in a college classroom. And I did learn a lot. I did get a foundation, but I don't think I could have walked out and gotten a job had I not um, been also tinkering on projects on the side through clubs, um, And I think that's something that the steam power concept is, um, to get more people who on both sides. So if you are someone who is your profession is science and technology, engineering or math or art, and that'll lead me to a second point here in a second. Um, and then people that just have an interest in that, uh, how do we bring about a society that embraces the practical, the hands-on, and the academic and the theory, um, to create a society and an economy that can thrive. And going back to then, the art concept. So again, my big focus is in the education world. I have a daughter, and I want her to live in a world, um, that's a combination of practical jobs, of hands-on jobs, as well as the academic, to be well-rounded as a human. And that's where I think the art part comes in. Um, we here in the U.S. at least, we've so badly butchered our education. We've taken out. We are so focused on math, um, and writing, reading, that we're basically creating a generation of drones that know how to repeat answers, to regurgitate, um, and we're not doing anything about the creative side. Some schools are better than others, but things like music, art, um, are important because to be a successful engineer, in my personal opinion, it's a combination of the practical, and the theoretical, and being able to understand abstract concepts. But it's also about creativity, and I think it's another thing that we have kind of killed in our education here, and that is, problem solving is about thinking outside the box. Because if it's already been solved and there's already a solution, you don't really need to hire anybody. You just go out and you buy the solution. Um, but companies that, and the world that I want to live in, is we're all constantly solving newer problems. Technology, we build on top of what's happened and what's come before, to take us to the next level. So, but to do that, you need to be creative. And things like, for me, growing up, drawing, um, computer animation, things like that, that creative process is not limited to just being an art student or a painter. That process of thinking creatively, of taking something that's, there's from nothing to an idea, to creating something that is a representation of that idea. That creative process is very important, not just, again, to the abstract art world. It's important to science and technology and engineering and math. And I think we need to embrace art, and that's why we're not talking about STEM education. We're the STEM Power podcast. It's STEAM because we add that A, um, because the art part is just as important as the other four aspects. Um, you'll hear a lot of engineers and scientists talk about how they were inspired growing up watching science fiction, because the reality is, that's how a lot of our technology that we enjoy today um, began. Someone as a kid was inspired by watching a television show, say like Star Trek, and creating, hey, I want to create a mobile communications device. Um, and over time, that has evolved to the point to where we are today, where we have these great smartphones, and that Probably that could have come along eventually had we not had any sort of had Star Trek not been around. But the point is, it's that inspiration, that science fiction, which is for me a very important part of an artistic flavor that I enjoy. Having that as inspiration um, is critical because the practical hands-on person, the scientist, the technologist, the engineer, um, needs that inspiration um, to will say, that is I want to make that real. I want that functionality. I want that ability that that device creates. So um, again, that's why we put the A in here, and it's the STEAM power. It's science, it's technology, it's engineering, it's art and math. It's that whole package that we need as a society to kind of rekindle America, and I think not just America, but I'm an American, and so apologize for um, my focus on that, but innovation, ingenuity, and that isn't limited to America, obviously, but it's um, it's something that, at least the way I see in my country, we've kind of fallen down on that. So hopefully this will inspire everyone, and it knows no national identity. It's no gender, no race. Uh, it's the human spirit of innovation that we don't settle for the status quo. We don't settle for good enough. We're constantly striving to improve and build upon. Um, look around your house today, or go look outside today. I mean, what we enjoy today, what we take for granted today, in terms of technology, your automobile, your cell phone, your laptop, the internet, this stuff didn't exist 50 years ago, 100 years ago. You think about how fundamentally different our world is to someone that was living in 1913 compared to today, or 1813 compared to today. Um, and then you think, well, then what could the world be 100 years from today? What will the world of 2113, 2213 look like? And that's exciting. And we're not going to get there in one big fell jump and swoop. We're going to build, and we're going to have a series of innovations that build upon each other, just like we've built on the innovations from the people that have come before us. So that's what we want to inspire with the Steam Power podcast is um, kids especially, but everybody, to embrace that entrepreneurial, that innovation, that kind of spirit of ingenuity, uh, to start building the pieces to lead us to a better world, a world that there's technologies and inventions that we can't even dream of today, that 100, 200 years from now will be as we wouldn't give it a second thought. Like today, having information at my fingertips, I don't question that. I just assume that is going to be now. That's the norm, and I think that's going to be how it always is going to be from here on out. So with that, I'm going to kind of wrap it up here for tonight. This is the start, hopefully, of where I want to go. As to the mechanics of the podcast, I think we'll kind of merge the audio only with this. I think this will become we'll take the audio out of here and make that the audio podcast, and but we'll post up on the video because I think a lot of stuff that I want to do, um, the visual aspect of it's going to be just as important. And also, I think it's better in terms of making it a conversation. So, what I want to kind of do with Steam Power is to turn it into a conversation. Um, ideally with a another person hosting with me. 'Cause I think having a conversation is better than me here with a monotone voice speaking. Um, I get bored of my own voice a lot, so I apologize for you having listened to me. So that's one aspect of it. The other is to add people that are working in different fields. Like I said, I'm a electronics, computers is my forte. But obviously, that's in the real world. Even though there's so many technology podcasts and blogs out there, and that's good. It's important, and I'm glad. Um, but it's kind of reached a saturation point with technology in terms of what's the latest, greatest new whiz bang Android phone or laptop or iPhone. So we're going to kind of avoid that kind of technology discussion. We're going to talk about more hard hitting engineering, because it's such a big world. There's civil engineering, there's electrical engineering, there's mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, then all the sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, and all those worlds. So we want to kind of um, tap into the stuff that's talked about here and there and bring it all together along with the aspect of inspiring people to pursue careers in this world. um, and if we do that, I think that's success. So that's where we're going in 2014. I hope, I think. um, the day job tends to get in the way sometimes, but that's the goal for Steam Power, to inspire people to change the world for the better. So, with that, I look forward to starting this journey with you. So please leave comments, ideas. Like I said, this is like the alpha version. We're going to build up a um, couple versions, couple episodes before we really launch. Um, and like I said, if you're interested in co-hosting a science and technology video podcast, let me know. Send me email. Give me a little background on yourself. And then we'll probably do some trials. I think chemistry is important. So, with that, um, I will wrap it up, but you can follow along. SteamPowerPodcast.com. We've also got a Google Plus community. That's Google Plus, excuse me, that's google.com/plus Steam Power Podcasts. You can follow me at Twitter. I'm at MB Parks, which we'll put down here. Um, Let me think. What else? I think that's it. Um, so, anyway, thanks for listening. And until next time, as I end all my podcasts, make it a great and STEM week. Um, and until next time, stay quirky.